Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Nelly, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Relationships, brought to you by Seshton Wave in association with the Lockdown Wave. To engage with us, please follow us on our YouTube channel and subscribe as Seshton Wave, and also on our media pages under Seshton Wave. So on this episode, I'll be giving out the important lessons on what to do when a guy doesn't text back. So stay tuned. So welcome back. So today, as like I've said, it's about when a guy doesn't text back. So I would say guys prefer to text because it makes it easier for them to avoid talking to someone when they don't feel like it. But nonetheless, I generally think that all guys tend to be single-minded in what they do and focus on meeting one objective at a time. So anything outside their focus at that moment is a distraction that they don't want to deal with. So there are some reasons that a guy would go MIA on texting back. Number one, it may be that he's not into you. And number two, he's really busy with work. Number three, you are being needy. Number four, he honestly doesn't have his phone near him. And number five, he's with another girl. Maybe he might be cheating. So moving on, it seems like the guy would make plans, and when it gets complicated or seems like it isn't going to happen, he directs his attention elsewhere and doesn't feel the need to text further, which comes again to the concept of a man's tendency to single-mindedly fixate on fulfilling an objective or reaching a goal. Now that you've expressed your frustration over his behavior and he hasn't changed, the reason for that is just simple. It's like when you call a guy out on something like, "Why didn't you call? Where were you? Why would you take so long to text back?" You might think you're drawing a line in the sand, but he sees it as something else entirely, in which is neediness. Now remember that I've talked about neediness before. So avoid acting needy at all times because guys don't want that at all. So for a few clarifying points, the term neediness gets thrown around in a lot of ways these days. So I want to be specific in how I define it. And now neediness, it's at its core is a mindset. It finds ways to telegraph itself no matter how much the person tries to act not needy. Now, when I talk about acting needy, I'm not recommending that you should change how you behave or even try to avoid these actions. Rather, I recommend that you change how you think about things, and therefore the needy behaviors and ways of acting naturally disappears. So one may ask what specifically the neediness mindset is. But before we go into that, let's take a quick break. Stay tuned. So what specifically is the neediness mindset? That's the question I posed before going to the break. And now to answer that, it is believing that you need the other person to act in a certain way, to be in a certain way, do specific things or say things, or else you won't be happy at all. There's nothing wrong with having a preference of what you want and only settling for what you want. There's no problem there at all. Now, the problem with the needy mindset is that when you're not getting what you want, you have a strong negative reaction because you think of his specific behavior as something you need in order to be okay, happy, and fulfilled. Now, an empowering mindset is to simply settle for what you don't want and seek out what you do want without blame, argument, or attack. Also, Clear communication of what you want and what you don't want is part of any healthy and good relationship. So bear in mind that this is a response to you from the context that you've repeatedly brought this up as an issue and there's been no change in his behavior or whatsoever. At this point, rather than calling him out when he doesn't respond, you would be far more effectively if you'd make plans when this happens. So don't wait on him, because people tend to fall into a routine with other people based on a past behavior. If you're always available to the guy, it's only natural that he'll expect you to be available whenever he feels like contacting you. So if your availability is limited and therefore requires planning and coordination to reach, then he will make solid plans with you instead of contacting you only when it's convenient for him. This is just a guy thing, and it's just a human thing as well. We only put effort into interactions that require it, but then in a guy's perspective, the interesting part about it is that they put effort into a relationship with someone they feel more invested to be with. I would encourage you to look for opportunities for the guy to make an effort towards you. The more of an effort he puts into seeing you or doing things for you, the more invested he will become. This is why being accommodating to bad behavior is actually harmful to creating a bond with a guy in the beginning. There's a lot of talk about being a challenge, and that being a challenge is somehow inherently attractive to guys. But really, being a challenge is not attractive at all. Not settling for what you don't want is attractive. Nobody wants to put up with a person who's argumentative, unpleasant, or adversarial for no reason. On the other hand, nobody's going to admire, respect, or prioritize a doormat. By which I mean, who will put up with anything because they're afraid of losing the other person and desperate for their love, validation, and attention. Bottom line is, don't ignore or accept behavior that you do not want, but realize that not accepting behavior doesn't mean fighting the other person. Now, showing a guy that you are not going to wait around for him if he disappears demonstrate a lot of good things about you, which are you have your own life, you have options, and your world doesn't revolve around him. A guy wants a woman like this because he knows that you can take care of yourself and you won't drag him down with the neediness. Now, this is an example of not accepting behavior that you don't want without conflict. If he doesn't change and you continue to feel frustrated by his behavior, then remember that you can always show up, align, and move on. Nobody's forcing you to be in that relationship with them. And if he's not putting in the effort to communicate, then you're far more better off filling your time with other things that will make you happy. Now, shackling your happiness to the actions of a guy is very disempowering way to live your life. Whether it's his texting habits, the way he talks to you, or the way he shows or doesn't show affection for you, you don't want to be chasing his affection at all. All that this does is show him that he can treat you like an option while he makes other things a priority, and we most certainly don't want to be treated like an option. So now, when you don't let the guy in your life be a source of disappointment, you'll not only save yourself from heartache, worry, and misery, you'll also have a lot more fun. In a short way, if he leaves you hanging, make other plans and have fun. So that's it for me today. Don't forget to subscribe on our YouTube channel as Search Wave and follow our media pages as Search Wave. So until next time, stay safe.